All right, I'd love that. I'm going to take you up on that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to begin. So with great pleasure, I introduce Alex Eaton from Beginner Bitcoin. Alex, over to you.
Cheers. So, Bitcoin beginner box, but it's okay because this really is about the Bitcoin beginnings. I want to say it like this. This is a primer for people that don't know much about Bitcoin, and I'd like to say it's a refresher for people that think that they know a lot about Bitcoin. To me, I believe the most important thing is storage, is knowing that you're doing it right. Because if you can invest and make a lot of money, but if you're not storing your holdings properly, you're going to have a bad time. So I'm going to go through this pretty quick. I made way too many slides for the time allotted, and I want to do a lot of Q&A at the end. So I'm going to go. Also, I talk really, really fast, so I apologize for that. Who am I? Spent 7 years in the Army as a medic. Built my company, the Bitcoin Beginner Box, last year, which I'll do share that with you later. Currently, I'm the community manager at Bread App, which is a wallet, one of the best wallets as far as I'm concerned. That's why I joined the team, because I loved it and I wanted to be part of a wallet because I believe wallets are the future. Co-host of a podcast called Be Libre, founder of the San Antonio Crypto Network and Bitcoin meetups. For the past 4 years, we've been doing consultations, one-on-one, teaching, nothing advanced, just the basics. How to send and receive Bitcoin. How to tell the difference between a opportunity and a scam. Basic stuff. I look at myself as more than anything a teacher, not so much a businessman. I love teaching. This right here, I always say this and everybody looks at me funny, this gets me high. I love teaching. All right, and evangelist, of course, because I believe in this currency. I believe in what this is going to do to change the world. And there's a little thing right there. But if you want to contact me, get with me later. I'll give you any information. I'm always available for basically anything. I like to partner. It's fun. I like to help entrepreneurs and companies in this space network with other companies and entrepreneurs in this space. All right, so contents. We're going to go through it anyway, so I don't want to waste any time on this. First off, and again, this is sometimes quite boring, but it's also very educational. It is, what is money? And I promise I won't spend much time on this. But when you look at money, you need it to have certain characteristics, or else it's bad money. And we want to use good money, especially as we evolve and money becomes more and more and more important in how we deal in our situational lives. So I'll go through it really quick. It's up here. I'm not going to read from the slides. Durability, the ability to not disappear in an instant. I always say dollars have durability because you can put them in a washing machine and they still come out okay. Change, same thing, right? So durability. Bitcoin has durability as well. Portability, the ability to be transported in your pocket or in a suitcase or in a bank, or the ability to be sent from one place to another. Oops. Acceptability, one of the most important. Has to be accepted, or else what's the point, right? Limited supply. Normally I put that in red because I like to say that the dollar, or in this case fiat currencies like the yuan, the yen, the pesos, any fiat currency, fiat meaning a currency distributed and controlled by the government, is backed by just that, the government. So no longer does the dollar have a limited supply. We have an annual inflation rate of the dollar of 4.1% over the last 30 years, which means that, and I always give this example, I'm 33 years old. When I was in high school, you could buy a 20-ounce soda for 75 cents. Now it's about $1.89, and that's not because sugar and corn syrup and water has gone up in price. That's because your dollar buys less every year, and that's how we feel it. That's how we feel inflation. You don't lose dollars. Your dollar doesn't become 99 cents every year. It just costs more to live, right? The visibility, have the ability to split up into smaller units of value. I have a slide because a lot of people that are new to Bitcoin think that, you know, Bitcoin works the same way, or cryptocurrencies work the same way as fiat money, which is 1.00. But dollars have the visibility. You can take a dollar and you can turn it into cents. And of course, uniformity. You want every single thing to look the same. You want every dollar to look like a dollar. You want every 10 to look like a 10. You want every Bitcoin to look like a Bitcoin. You need every Dash coin to look like a Dash coin, right? So Bitcoin, quick overview, because I want to talk about Bitcoin a little bit, but again, I want to talk about the safety and security. So most of you know Bitcoin was made by someone that nobody knows who it is. I just asked, who do you think Bitcoin was? You know, was it Hal Finney? Was it the 10 different people over the past 5 years that have claimed to be Satoshi? I don't think we'll ever really know. I'll tell you this, if I was Satoshi, I'd never tell anybody because I'd be scared I'd get killed, right? So what is Bitcoin, though? It's a complete record-keeping machine that uses this thing that we call the blockchain to have a ledger that is distributed across the globe and has no single point of failure. So it's near impossible to destroy. So, we've had a lot of fears in the past. What if the, U.S. government says it's illegal? What if this shuts it down? What if they do this? What if they do that? I like to always refer back to the Bitcoin white paper. Even though that is the oldest artifact of Bitcoin, it has so much information in there that almost repels those fears of shutdown, because there's not much a government or an entity or a company can do by themselves to hurt Bitcoin. Did you know that we actually have Bitcoin miners and nodes and satellites up in space right now? That happened because we had people that were scared of a global EMP that could wipe out all the Bitcoin miners in the world. So we put some in space, because you can't EMP space. Well, you could, but that would be a different EMP, right? So as currencies around the world are losing purchasing power, Bitcoin is gaining global purchasing power. Something about that. You may be somebody that bought Bitcoin for the first time at $17,000, and you are not feeling happy right now as we sit at $10,000, right? But the fact of the matter is, if you break it down and you look at charts, we have been on an upward spiral for at least the last 4 years. From the time that Mt. Gox fell and we went from $800 to $200, it has been a clean ride up. And yes, we have our dips, we have our bad months, we have our bad, quarters. But overall, even now, if you look at just the last year, from this date today to 1 year ago, we're up. So that's always good. It's just a growth. And I want to say one more thing about ups and downs of Bitcoin, and it's about markets. And we talk about bubbles all the time. If something always goes up and never goes down, it's a bubble. But in this case, something that is volatile and goes up and down is actually exceeding of a healthy market. You want that, because when Bitcoin goes down, that means that people are taking profits. It doesn't necessarily mean that the world's collapsing. It means that the people that bought Bitcoin in 2010, 11, 12, 13, they're making a lot of money for this sale, right? So some people have the ability to move and just take $500 million out of Bitcoin, and they're done. They don't need to invest. They don't need Bitcoin. They're going to go live on an island. And that's going to drop the price of Bitcoin quite a bit. So not all dips are because of FUD or fear, uncertainty, and doubt. They're because people are profiting. People won. So Chinese dollar, Chinese yuan, every currency is tied to Bitcoin's value and fluctuates in tandem with the others at an ever-changing exchange rate, which, of course, makes it extremely volatile. And that's because it's 24/7. It's not like the stock market where it ends at a certain time. So going into a little bit more about Bitcoin, I talked about those 6 traits of money earlier because Bitcoin has those 6 traits. Let me tell you a quick 30-second story. 4 years ago, I go to my grandpa, who's been investing in currencies for the past 40 years, and I say, "Grandpa, I heard about Bitcoin. What do you think?" And he goes, "No." And I go, "Why not?" And he goes, "Just don't touch it. It's not going to work." And I was like, "Well, I'm going to touch it. I'm going to touch it hard." So I went in heavy and hard, and about 2 years later, I remember it was Christmas 2015, and I was actually in Florida, and I was with him, and he now he has a whole bunch of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And he goes, and I go, "Why did you tell me not to do that? And you did it yourself." He goes, "Well, because it's perfect money. And I just really didn't think any government would allow perfect money to take over their money. So really, I was just trying to save you from the government shutting you down." And I was like, "Oh, well, respect." But Bitcoin has all 6 traits plus some. You see that it has the durability, the portability, the divisibility, the fungibility. But then we also have things like decentralization, where it's not owned by a government, person, or an entity. Oh, there's so many things I want to say, but I try and be neutral. There's a lot of cryptocurrencies that pretend to be Bitcoin, but they are not decentralized. And it really begs the question, when you're investing into something, do you want it to be owned by a centralized institution of a small amount of people, or do you want it to be owned by no one? Do you want it to be a decentralized currency that no one can hurt without consensus? And that's one of the things that makes Bitcoin so special, is that you can't change it or edit it or go back and remove data from it without the entire ecosystem agreeing to that. And that's what we call consensus. So also, it's quite secure. Everybody always wants to know how secure Bitcoin is. I'm not the guy to ask on that one because I'm not a coder, and I'll be the first one to admit I can't read Bitcoin's code, but I do have friends that can. And every single one that I've ever said, "Hey, would you really sit down and check out this code and make sure, it's not just some open source scam and, we're all just thinking that it's good." It's good. It has state-of-the-art encryption that is used in banking, military, and government applications. So it's a very secure thing. I put this up here just in case if anybody's completely new and thinks that Bitcoin is only 1.00, as I said earlier, it goes all the way down to 0.0000001, or also known as a Satoshi. Not to be confused, because some people call that a bit. And that's where we get confused sometimes, because depending on what country you're in, some people refer to this as a bit, others a Satoshi, right? And then you have millibits and microbits or ultrabits. At the end of the day, it's up to you how you want to call it. You'll download a Bitcoin wallet, and it'll actually give you the ability to choose, hey, do I want to see it in bits, Satoshis, or just full-on Bitcoin? So for instance, one wallet might say 0.0003 Bitcoin, and I have $40 in there, where another one might say I have 80,000 bits, and that's $70, right? Totally up to you how you want to look at it. Different wallets will show it in a different way. It can get kind of confusing, but I just wanted to show this really quick, just to really show down the breakdown. Another thing that I notice when a lot of people want to buy Bitcoin for the first time is they think that they have to do this, buy a whole Bitcoin. You don't. Obviously, most of you know that. But you don't. You can buy $1 worth of Bitcoin. You can buy 50 cents worth of Bitcoin. You can buy any amount you want. Technically, you could buy one Satoshi from a friend and give him, you know, something worth less than a penny. So why is it worth anything? I don't think I'm going to have the time to go into the blockchain technology. It just depends on how fast I talk. But it's the security, the price growth, the limitedness of it, the limitedness of it, the limitedness of it. And I love that, because as a 33-year-old that grew up into this legacy system that we call finance, I have never experienced a limited currency. And that is what got me so excited about this, because with a limited currency, you get a deflationary currency, meaning the price goes up over time. Because as each individual person around the world starts to figure out that this is a store of value that goes up because of the limitedness, because of the security, because of, well, all the great things that I'm going to talk about, right? It's a no-brainer. Why would you want an unlimited currency? Why would you keep 100% of all your money in something that's inflated every year? So I'm not saying go out and take all your money and put it in Bitcoin. I'm saying take 1% and put it in Bitcoin if you haven't yet, and see how that feels, and watch it for a year. And at the end of that year, you might want to buy more Bitcoin. You might want to buy more gold. You might want to buy more silver. I'm a big proponent for cryptocurrency, but more than anything, I'm a proponent for diversifying your funds and hedging your bet against unlimited currencies. At the bottom there, alts. I really hope I get to that. I know a lot of you know about altcoins. This conference, there's a lot of altcoins here. For me, altcoins are wonderful. I have the utmost respect for so many altcoins, because they are the ones that are really changing the world, even more than Bitcoin, believe it or not. I could talk for an hour and a half on all the altcoins that I love, but we'll get to that in a second. What I really want to focus on today is the basics. And to that, I mean, what is a wallet? What is a public key? What is a private key? And kind of the rules to sending and receiving Bitcoin. Because the biggest problem people have is the simplest thing that you need to know: sending Bitcoin to a Bitcoin wallet, not sending Bitcoin Cash to a Bitcoin wallet, not sending Ethereum to a Bitcoin wallet, right? Because you're going to have a bad time. None of these things will work. If you send Bitcoin to an Ethereum wallet, your Bitcoin will never get there. It'll get stuck in something called the mempool, and you will lose it. Hopefully in the future, coders and designers will come up with ways to retract those, but as of right now, you're just gone. It's gone. So if you send $10,000 worth of Bitcoin to an Ethereum wallet, it's gone. So these are the rules that I want to teach you, so that you just have that information in your head so you don't make these mistakes. So first off, Bitcoin wallets. There's 3 types of Bitcoin wallets right now. We may have more in the future. Keeping it simple, a hot wallet. All that really means is it's connected to the internet. This can be in the form of a phone wallet, a computer wallet, and yeah, that's it. Phone wallet, computer wallet. Cold wallet. A cold wallet is not connected to the internet, right? Some examples of that, and at the main conference, they have a whole bunch of really cool cold wallets that I'd never seen before. But these also come in the form of Cassius coins, which are rare and expensive now because the US government back in like 2014 said, no, you can't do that. My favorite is crypto art. Now, I have an example. Would you grab that up? Be surprised how many people haven't seen this, but a crypto art is nothing more than a paper wallet. It's a way to store your Bitcoin on a painting. So a company is out of Austin. Troy Fearnow is the innovator of this, but basically he decided, hey, I'm going to make fine art, make it limited edition. I know you can't see it, but each one of these is limited. As they sell out, the artwork itself goes up in price, kind of like Bitcoin over time. But more than anything, you have a public key right here so you can store your Bitcoin on it. Private keys on the back, hidden. You pull your private key off, you put it on your wall. This can hold $1 million, $10, as much as you want. And it doesn't just have to hold Bitcoin. These are exchangeable. And he also has different versions. So if Litecoin's your coin of choice, you can store Litecoin on there too. These are awesome. If you want to store Bitcoin the safest way possible, you're always going to have different people telling you different things. And I'm no expert. I think all of these are great for their own reasons. It just depends on what kind of a person you are. If you're somebody that's going to use Bitcoin quite a bit for buying, for selling, for trading, you're going to want a hot wallet because it's the quickest, fastest way to get it. But I'll get to that. Hardware wallet, Trezor, Ledger, these are the most well-known. All these are what I consider a mix of cold and hot. So they're cold until you connect them to the computer via USB, and then they're hot. But they have an extra layer of encryption built by the company themselves, so Trezor and Ledger both have their own level of encryption that supposedly is unhackable. And I don't say supposedly to be mean. I say it hasn't been hacked yet, but you never know, right? So at the end of the day, they're continuously going to be building extra encryption to make sure that this Trezor wallet is the best hardware wallet on the market, right? But they are in competition. You have a couple others like KeepKey, I'm blanking, but there really are about 10 different hardware wallets. They range anywhere from $50 to $300. So if you're somebody that has $50 worth of Bitcoin, you might just want to use a cold wallet or a hot wallet because you don't need a hardware wallet. If you're storing $1 million worth of Bitcoin, you might want a hardware wallet. So lastly, I put multi-sig wallet. That is not a different type of wallet. That is a feature that all wallets can have. And that's more for families or businesses that need to trust each other. So multi-sig, for instance, let's say you, and me. We have a company, the three of us, right? And we have $1 million worth of Bitcoin. Now, we have to trust each other to a point, right? But let's say you go rogue and you want to just go ahead and steal all the capital and run away to Aruba, right? If we have a multi-sig wallet, you can't do that because we have to have 2 out of the 3 of us enter in our private keys at the same time for all 3 of us to have access to the money. We can do 3 of 3 keys, meaning we would have to all agree at the same time to enter in our private key to get access to that funds. Sorry, I'm not trying to blow you up. But that's a good thing that is accessible in a lot of wallets for businesses. And it doesn't just have to be 3, it can be 5, it can be 7, it can be 13, it can be as many as you need. So big companies use multi-sig wallets to make sure that they don't have a single point of failure. One individual that hurts the company. As I said, going to go into a wallets a little bit more. Now, I have to make sure you all know, I work for Bread now. Been working for them for about 3 months, love them to death, great company, definitely look them up. Sorry, had to push it. But I also want to talk about other wallets too, because I'm not biased. All wallets are good in their own way. They all have different abilities than others. So a little bit about wallets that are connected to the internet, talked about that. Come on phones and computers, talked about that. Can give extra abilities as exchanging coins for coins. For instance, Exodus is a computer-only wallet that has Shapeshift integrated into it and holds about 20 different cryptocurrencies. And because it has Shapeshift integrated into it, it allows you to turn your Bitcoin into Ethereum, or your Ethereum Classic into Salt, your Salt into Bitcoin. You can just back and forth. And that's really nice because that actually saves you a couple steps from taking your Bitcoin and putting it into an exchange like Bittrex or Binance, trading it, withdrawing it. It saves you some time. There are still fees associated with it, but it saves you time. Going back to the next one, ability to hold multiple currencies. Like I said, this one holds about 20. Coinbase holds 4. Bread holds 3 right now, but by the end of Q1, they should be able to hold all ERC20 tokens. We got 10 minutes left already? Man, this goes fast. Okay, then I really just want to talk. We talked about cold wallets. I want to talk about private keys and public keys because it's really, really important. I'm going to talk about it for about 3 minutes, and then we'll do Q&A. This is the most important thing in the world, not the public key. The public key can look like this. It can look like this. All it is, I want you to think, when you think public key, I want you to think PayPal address. It's the thing that you give to somebody to get paid. You can share it anywhere. You can, in fact, this is a public key. You could scan this. I don't know which wallet of mine this is, but this would send me money. You don't have to send me money. But this is a public key, right? Now, good to share everywhere, easy. I have some companies that will download a wallet, print out this public key, tape it down on their counter and say, I accept Bitcoin. And then anybody can come in, scan that QR code and send them money. They can look on their phone to which that QR code is associated with and instantaneously see if they got paid or not. So that's how small businesses can accept Bitcoin very easily without any setup fee, without anybody like me charging them any amount of money. You do not have to pay anybody to accept Bitcoin. Now, private keys. And I'm gonna read right what I said because it's so important. Never, 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 never share this. It is the key to accessing the Bitcoins or other cryptocurrencies or altcoins in your wallet. Without it, you cannot access your money, and you will lose the ability to send and receive. So let me give you an example. And last part, a private key can also be a 12, 16, 20, or 24 word phrase. It can be a line of code. It can be called a seed. It can be called a passphrase. It can be called a private key. But it is all the same thing. Holy crap. Hey, John. More than anything, though, I want to go back real quick right here. When you down Bread Wallet, the first thing it does is it asks you to write down 12 words. And these 12 words are your words, and nobody else gets these words. It also makes sure that you write them down on a piece of paper because you cannot take a snapshot. You cannot take a picture. You do not realize how easy it is to get accessibility to your camera, to your photos. So anyway, you write down that 12-word phrase, right? Let's say you have $10,000 worth of Bitcoin in your Bread wallet. Let's say your phone breaks. Let's say your friend steals your phone. Let's say your phone gets wet. Let's say, cataclysm. You get in a car accident, your phone breaks. You have that 12-word phrase. All you have to do is re-download that Bread wallet on a brand new phone, type in those 12 words, and you get access to all your money again. That is your private key. But if you lose that 12-word phrase, if you lose that private key and you break your phone, you're gone. It's gone. It's gone, gone, gone. And it's funny because we talk about there's 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be. It's going to be a lot less than that because there's a lot of Bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies that get lost just for this reason. This lady right here, I gave her her first $10 worth of Bitcoin back in like 2013. The very next day, she dropped her phone in the toilet. She did not write down her passphrase. That money is gone. That Bitcoin is gone forever. Okay, so we got 5 minutes. Let me see if there's anything I really, really, really want to say. I'm going to leave this up because, all right. Cheers. All right. So sorry to talk about it again, but really, backing up your wallet is the most important thing. It's what I just talked about. So backing up your wallet, it gives you access to your private key, and it's the most important part of the entire cryptocurrency experience because I don't care if you invest in a coin that's 40 cents and it goes up to $300 and you make $1 million. If you lose your private key, it's gone. So I just really, really want to so store your key in a safe place. I'll be honest with you. You know where I store my private keys? In a moisture-proof safe in my backyard. And I also have other dig marks. So for everybody that knows where my house is, they'll go like, I wonder which dig mark it is, right? But that's not a joke. I really do. Again, without your private key, you're going to lose all your crypto if something were to happen to your wallet. If you don't like digging, then you can, of course, store it in a safety deposit box. I also recommend a fireproof safe if you're leaving it in your house. Your house can burn down. You're going to have these things on a piece of paper. Fire burns paper, fireproof safe, right? So buying and selling Bitcoin, there are, I want to say hundreds of different ways to do this, but they all come with different fees associated with them. Everyone, for the most part, knows Coinbase. It's been the oldest and longest. It allows you to link a bank account and a credit card. They charge you anywhere from 1.5% to 3% if you buy through your bank, but it takes 5 business days. For a credit card, they charge 3.75%. Then you have Bread, which I work for. Again, bias. We actually now have the cheapest way to buy Bitcoin in America because now we charge 1% plus 10 cents. So if you want to buy Bitcoin and you want a cheap way, definitely look into Bread. Next, you have Local Bitcoins, which is a peer-to-peer service. So it enables this gentleman right here who wants to sell some Bitcoin at whatever fee he wants. He could sell it for 5% over cost, 20% over cost, and let's just say I need to buy some Bitcoin. And he lives down the street from me. I can actually contact him. He would have his phone number on Local Bitcoins. I call him. I meet him at an IHOP. We make a deal. This is actually how I bought my very first Bitcoin about 4 years ago. I met a guy in an IHOP at midnight and bought Bitcoin from Local Bitcoins. Paxful came out about 2 years ago. Paxful's very interesting. Paxful is a really interesting beast, and I have a lot of respect for what they do. I would love to tell you the intro story because it is crazy how this company was founded, but go to Wikipedia and check that out. Paxful allows individuals to go buy cards, gift cards, an Applebee's card, a Vanilla card, a Walmart card, upload it onto Paxful, and then people will pay for that card with Bitcoin. So for instance, I go to Walmart, I buy a Chili's $20 gift card, I upload it on Paxful, and somebody will give me $15 worth of Bitcoin for that $20 card. Not the greatest margins, but it is been very beneficial for certain countries where their margins to buy Bitcoin are 25 to 30%. So it's actually better for them in the long run to go buy a vanilla gift card and, pay maybe 20 to 15% margins off that card. So Paxful's another place. And if you Google where to buy Bitcoin, you're going to find 1,000 places. There's Coin Mama that lets you use credit cards. There's this, there's that. There's lots of places. There's Glidera. There's Simplex. So many places. So if anybody says, I don't know where to buy Bitcoin, just Google it. There's tons. I would love to, if anybody really wants to know about blockchain and ledger and Bitcoin mining, I would be happy to discuss it. That's really not what I wanted to talk about today. I really tried to add a lot of stuff because I wanted to make sure I had enough slides. So almost done. So why should you use cryptocurrencies over other money? Affordable transference of value. Please understand that when I wrote this, it cost about 3 cents to send a Bitcoin transaction. This past year, it went up to about $40. If you wanted to send $5 worth of Bitcoin, it would cost you $40. It wasn't up until about 2 weeks ago that this all changed and things got a lot better. So now any of you, if you're trying to send Bitcoin, you'll notice it actually only costs about $2 to send any amount of Bitcoin. And that's because SegWit, which I'm pretty sure somebody's going to talk about pretty soon, and also the Lightning Network is coming. But SegWit was enabled a couple months ago. It just takes a long time for these wallets to code it. Once it's coded, it brings the price of transference down. Next, we have remittance, which is basically the simple idea of you have MoneyGram. You have a gentleman here in America that sends $1,000 to his mom in Vietnam every month. It costs him 7.5% to send it through MoneyGram, and then it costs another 7.5% to turn our currency into their local currency. So $1,000 becomes $850. Why? There's a better way. So with Bitcoin, you don't have to pay 7.5% to send $1,000. You pay $2, right? And then there's exchanges in every country. Some might take 2%, some might take 3%, some might take 1%, some might take 10%. It really depends on the country. But it's still a better remittance fee than what we have with MoneyGram and Walmart and banks and wires and all that stuff. Much more secure. I don't know if Eric Voorhees is at this conference, but Eric Voorhees created something called Satoshi Dice about 4 years ago. And it was a small gambling site. And basically, it overwhelmed the Bitcoin blockchain to the point that we've seen the Bitcoin blockchain kind of get filled up quite frequently lately. But he, about 5 years ago, tested the rigidity of it. In fact, they actually asked him to shut down his site because it was clogging the net. Because he's a true believer of Bitcoin, he shut down the site. But because of what he did, it put into the minds of tons of coders scaling. And scaling is what we're going through right now and will be going through for the next couple years. Because Bitcoin is an upgradable technology. It is nothing more than code. And due to consensus, we can upgrade Bitcoin and make it stronger, make it faster. A lot of things that people don't understand is all these other cryptocurrencies and altcoins that come out with their new ideas and their new ways of doing things. I don't think a lot of people realize that Bitcoin can actually take that code and use it in itself. So Bitcoin can upgrade anytime it wants as long as we get consensus. Bitcoin is open source. Nobody owns it. The most popular client is maintained by a community of open source developers. It is not owned by a government entity or company. I said that twice in this because I think it's really important. I don't want my money to be owned by anyone. That's just me, though. So we'll go past that. Altcoins. This is this is not me giving investment advice. This is me telling you a couple coins that I really, really, really think bring utility or have a really cool future. Take a screenshot of that. If anybody wants to slide afterwards, I have it on a USB too. I can stick it on your computer, what have you. Again, not investment advice, not saying these are going to go up. I just check them out. Factum, Paul Snow is actually here, so he'll be giving a talk on Factum, I think, but just record keeping on the blockchain. Bread tokens, a reward platform, just like how banks have reward platforms and airline miles have airline miles. Well, Bread wants to have a wallet that rewards people for holding their Bread tokens. My favorite of all time, CureCoin. Because CureCoin, if you've ever heard of folding at home, has been 15 years ago, Stanford University built this algorithm that takes a small portion of your processing power from a laptop or a computer, and it starts to fold proteins. What does that mean? Folding proteins is the first of 7 steps to curing diseases. So without folding proteins, we can't cure diseases. So for 15 years, folding at home gave you nothing for donating your power, other than a good sense that you knew that you were helping change the world, right? Because you're helping. You're donating a little bit of processing power. So Josh Smith created CureCoin 3 years ago, went to Stanford and said, what if I could incentivize people to fold more, to donate more? And the reason I love this token is because it was built on love. It wasn't a greed play. It wasn't about making money. So now, if you download Folding at Home on any laptop or computer, really now? Okay, let's do some Q&A. And I'll just leave it up. Oh yeah, there's taxes. I wanted to say that. There's taxes. Yeah, that does exist.
When I'm in a major this is on the point of buying and selling Bitcoin. So one thing we didn't discuss, there is a huge institutional liquidity market worldwide from all kinds of players who are buying. That I've seen as about 25 basis points that takes the average of the top 5 exchanges, so which is less than buying, for example, on Coinbase. The retail market and that's probably closest to local Bitcoin, but it's not local Bitcoin. These are actually brokers. Can you talk about that particular market, which is real?
Only because I'm not educated in it. And look, I'm the very first person to say
Okay, let's talk afterwards, and I'll help you for your next talk.
Cheers. No, and look, I research all day long. I see you. I'm the first to admit, if I don't know, I like to research. So give me a day. But no, let's talk afterwards, absolutely. Yes? Thank you. I really wanted to do that. Okay, I want to say a couple things on that. I've been scammed many times. I don't know, some of you that may have been in this for 4 years may have heard of Paycoin. I got scammed by Paycoin pretty good. If anything looks too good to be true, it probably is. Sometimes you'll be forwarded to a referral network, like, for instance, BitConnect, where the referral fees are 40%. So it's like, go get grandma and you'll get 40% of everything she ever throws in. That should throw you off. 40% referral fees is a little high. Now, if you see a referral fee for 3%, 5%, that's probably safe. But anything that is offering way too much for you to go get your friends and family to invest is probably a scam. Another scam. This is fun because this happened 2 days ago. We have a Twitter handle, Bread. It's @BreadToken. We have had so many scammy Twitter pages come up. Just 2 days ago, we had, and I had to report it and take it down, it was @Bread_token. And what they were offering was if you if you send 100 bread to this address, and this was on their Twitter, just right there, and they were pushing it to our followers, our users, our investors. You send 100 bread, and we will send you 1,100 bread back within 24 hours. Sorry, I wanted to cuss. But what? What? No, if it's too good to be true, it's not true. You'll see websites that say, hey, we can double your Bitcoin in 2 days. You know how long those websites last? 3 days. Because the first people that do it, and they'll double their Bitcoin. And then they share that with their friends. And then you have an overload of people throwing in an insane amount of Bitcoin, and then it's gone. And there is one last thing I want to say about that, because something that is a little bit less optical is a lot of the new coins and a lot of the new tokens. And I can't personally talk on any single one. We've definitely seen some scammed token. Hey, what's up, brother? We've definitely seen some scam tokens and some scam coins. But I always say follow these 3 things whenever you're looking at an investment. And I really mean this. I tell this to everybody. Look at the team. Can you tell who the team is? Does the team let you know who they are? You'll see coins where they don't even tell you who they are. There's no team whatsoever. No matter where you look, you can't find a single person to blame for what's about to happen, right? So you want to make sure that the team is a visible team. And then you want to be able to research the team and see what they've done. Go to the LinkedIn. Go look at their past. Make sure that they haven't been part of a crypto scheme in the past, right? So team is my number one thing. You got to trust the team. Second, utility. And this comes from a fear of the SEC, and not just the SEC, but all the other regulatory components that are all around the world. You know, America, we worry about the SEC. There are a lot of coins that are not doing their legal framework or even hiring a lawyer and just taking investments from people and just going with it. And this does not mean that they're evil or bad. This means that they're young entrepreneurs that want to build something and want to, you know, raise money for their build. But if you do not take a moment and hire a legal law firm and make sure that you're compliant, you're going to have a bad time in the future, right? We all talk about the SEC ban hammer that's going to come eventually. The fact that almost on a weekly basis, if you follow the SEC blogs, they're targeting ICOs that have not complied, that have not registered. So that's another thing. Make sure that your investments are coins or teams that are truly looking into the security of it, because you want to invest in something that's future-proofed itself. And again, I'm so sorry, I'm biased. One of the reasons that I joined Bread was because they hired Cooley, and Marco Santori is one of the top well-known, you know, legal advisors in the entire cryptocurrency space. And I wanted to put my stamp on a coin that makes sure that they're following the law. Now, following the law is not sexy, I know that. But it's important when you're dealing with people's money. Now that's number 3. I kind of skipped number 2. Number 2 is utility. Make sure it makes sense to you. Make sure it's theoretically possible. Make sure that it's a utility and not a security. I'm not trying to bash this. This may become something special, but there was an ICO that came out last month. I think it was called Banana Coin, and it's based off like the GDP of banana sales. That would be a security token. That, it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it has a lot more compliance and regulatory framework, because if you're a security token as opposed to a utility token, you need to follow a different set of standards and rules. So utility token has its own compliance issues. In fact, more than you'd probably imagine. But when I talk about a utility, I talk about actual use. Going back to that list, CureCoin has a utility because it's incentivizing humanity to donate more processing power and rewarding them for it. That's utility, right? Trying to think of a coin that doesn't have utility. But yeah, no. So I'll keep it simple and short. I know I'm out of time, way out of time. Any more questions? Yes. Yeah, I know Jax. Yeah, no, so I've used Jax in the past too. I don't currently use it right now. Don't get me wrong. I've used every wallet I can possibly get my hands on because I work for a wallet, and it's just good business to look and see what everybody else is doing, right? Jax has a lot of things good for it. It has the ability to do shapeshift, so you can turn your coins into coins. You can pair it to your phone or to your Google, what's it called? The Google up there, yeah. that top right part of Google. Extensions, that's what it is. There's nothing wrong with pairing. That's just an extra feature, and it's a good feature. If there is one thing I will say, because I brought up Exodus has a very unique feature that I have not seen on any other wallet, and it is it's a good but a horrible thing at the same time. If you ever download Exodus Wallet on your computer, it gives you 2 ways to back up your wallet. It gives you a 20-word passphrase, but it also asks for your email address. And the moment you set up your Exodus wallet, it sends a link that is your private key to your email address. So if you're using Gmail and you do not use two-factor authentication, you have the keys to your safe for Exodus in your email account. And you know how easy it is for people to get into your email account. So my point is, this is a good thing, because if you lose your private key for Exodus, you have a secondary way. You can go to the day that you turned Exodus on for the very first time, type in Exodus Wallet, you'll see from that date, you click that link, you have access to your funds. So that saves a lot of people. But at the same time, if your email gets hacked, well, then somebody has your private key, right? So great questions. Do you have any more as far as features of wallets? Because the main thing when it comes to wallets is you want to make sure that there's no backdoors. And that's not like a guaranteed backdoor, but what I just explained with the Gmail, that's a potential backdoor. Because if you're not protecting your email and somebody gets access to that, then they just backdoored you, right? So it's really about setting up. And if anybody doesn't know what 2FA is, or two-factor authentication, you should have it on everything. You should have it on your Facebook, your Gmail, your Hulu, your everything. Did I answer your question? Oh, I like these. I like these. Oh, two-factor is absolutely a pain in the ass. Just imagine three-factor. Any other questions? Okay, this is a tough one because I hate giving misinformation, right? If I don't know 100%, I'm not going to talk on it. There has been a lot of talk recently about the consensus method changing for Bitcoin, going from the miners being able to have consensus to the nodes. This all happened back a couple months ago when the Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin and the SegWit 2x, and there was all this, nobody could agree, and we couldn't get any upgrades because everybody was stuck at like 50-50. Please, someone tell me if I'm wrong, because I am not a blockchain engineer, and it's been a little while since I researched the consensus method of Bitcoin. But I believe it has to be 90%. Please, if I'm wrong, say something out loud. It's either 80 or 90% of all Bitcoin miners and nodes have to agree to an upgrade. What is an upgrade called? It's called a BIP, a BIP, or a Bitcoin Improvement Protocol. And anyone at all, even myself if I wanted to, could code an idea and upload that BIP. I believe we're around BIP 151, 153. There've been a lot of BIPs over the past couple years. And these BIPs can be anything. They can be a change to the code. They can be, hey, let's upgrade SegWit. Hey, let's put this Lightning network on here. You could even have BIPs that say, hey, let's double the amount of Bitcoin from 21 million to 42 million. But you have to have consensus for those BIPs to take effect. So a lot of BIPs do not take effect, and BIPs work by setting a specific date. So I would say I want to double the amount of Bitcoins. I would never want to do that, right? Lower the value, right? Plus you're just creating a new precedence. That'd be horrible. But so you put a BIP. You say I want to double the amount of Bitcoins in 3 months. Here's that date. So for those 3 months, if I can get those nodes and miners to agree to it and get that consensus of 80 or 90%, and I do apologize that I don't know which one that is, then it happens. And that BIP becomes law, becomes math, becomes part of the code. Now, at the same time, let's say a year later, somebody goes, you know what, that didn't work. Let's make a BIP to remove, right? So I hope that gives you some overview. Yeah. Anybody else? I know, time.
So, guys, fantastic talk there from Alex. Lots of information. 10 minutes, and then we will reconvene with Samuel Kabizzi from Cryptosomniac.